What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another video, another mock draft, and we're just going to start right off, like we always do, with the news that's happened since the last one. Not too much again this time, because again, nothing's really happening, but actually a little bit more than last week. So first off, we got reports that Tony Pollard could see a lot of slot snaps. Right now, they only have Tavon Austin as the slot receiver. We know he's underperformed most of his career, so it's not shocking you would hear a report like this. Take it with a slight grain of salt. They could address the position in the draft. They could bring someone in, and it really, the report only says he could see slot snaps. Doesn't mean he's going to be like the slot receiver or anything, but it's at least a positive. If you were someone who really wanted to handcuff Zeke, well, this is a guy who might be getting more receiving work that you could use in the flex if you were super desperate. Remains one of the better handcuffs in the league just because we know his role is going to be massive if Zeke goes down. But even with this report, he is still, in my opinion, just a handcuff. Jace Sternberger is expected to compete for the tight end 1 spot in Green Bay. Still too early for me to consider him a sleeper. I guess you could consider him a sleeper, but like a really deep sleeper right now. But keep an eye on this. It could be a valuable spot. But remember, this is still the tight end spot on the Packers, which hasn't been that great for fantasy. So not someone I really want to be drafting right now, but I thought I'd bring it up. We've got the Brandin Cooks trade that happened last week. So the Texans traded the 57th pick in the draft for Brandin Cooks and a 2022 4th-round pick. We all know that's a bad trade for the Texans, but they just keep doing bad trades, so we should expect it moving forward. Their receivers now, Fuller, Cooks, Stills, and Cobb. Not a bad receiving core. I mean, all those guys are like decent receivers. It's just that they're like all decent, right? So none of them are DeAndre Hopkins. Like, it'd be really nice if they could like trade, Cooks, Stills, Cobb for Hopkins. I'd still rather have what they've had in prior seasons. For fantasy, Cooks definitely gets a bump in value because if he was going to go into the Rams like he was last season, I mean, they just like stopped using him. Plus with the injuries, he wasn't that great of a pick. This season, now it's definitely better because you have to think he steps into the number 2 role. So if they were running 2 wide receiver sets, you would think he'd be ahead of Stills. Problem is he's got 5 known concussions. He's changing teams. And a lot of these guys have similar roles. Like Stills and Cooks are very similar in the offense, so they'll be used kind of interchangeably. Even Fuller has a much better role than those two have. But a lot of these guys do the same stuff. So not a great situation. It's definitely going to help Watson, just gives him another weapon. But as far as drafting Brandin Cooks, I'm not for it. It's definitely a downgrade to Fuller as well, but not that much, and it's going to be reflected in his ADP. So I'm still all over Fuller. I still think he's got the most upside by far in this offense, and he's the one that I would want to draft still. The Bucs have more faith than ever in Ronald Jones. Listen, we've heard so many things with Ronald Jones that I just don't believe what I hear about him anymore. They're going to draft a running back. They've said they want to draft especially a pass-catching back, and if that happens, Jones will have absolutely no value. So watch the draft, I guess, and see what happens there. McVay said they want to do a better job of utilizing Everett's skill set. I've just been interested all offseason in trying to figure out what's going to happen here, like what the split is going to be between Tyler Higbee and Gerald Everett. We are expecting them to run a lot of 2 tight end sets, but what will the split be? Like, are they each going to get like a 12% market share, a 15% market share, a 7% market share? Like, we can't really figure that out yet. So while they're both healthy, which they should open the season healthy, and they're running those 2 tight end sets, I don't know what's going to happen. So for me, that kind of feels like a situation where I would shy away from Everett or from Higbee a little bit, and I'd go more towards Everett if you want one of those two, just because, I mean, Everett's not even like being drafted right now, and Higbee's going more in the middle rounds. But it's a situation I just want to see what people are saying throughout camp, if camp even happens, because I don't even have a take, honestly, as to what percent those splits are going to be. But I do think it'll be closer than some people realize, which is why, like I said, I'd be leaning Everett over Higbee given draft value. The Chargers are still very high on Justin Jackson. It's been reported that they're unlikely to take a running back early. How early does that mean? I mean, I can't know. Does that mean they won't be taking one on day 1, but like day 2 is fine? We'll have to wait and see. If they don't take a running back in the first 4 or 5 rounds, I guess the first 4 rounds, then I would still really like Justin Jackson. You guys have seen me take him in probably 2 or 3 of these mock drafts. I think he's an exceptional late round pick right now because we know they don't want to give Eckler a bunch of carries and a bunch of targets. They don't want to just feed him. They're going to use Justin Jackson in Melvin Gordon's role, just a reduced version of it. It's not going to be oh, here's all of Melvin Gordon's work to Justin Jackson. No, they really like Eckler. Eckler's obviously great. They're going to give some of Gordon's receiving work to Eckler. They're going to give some of the goal line, some of the early down. But Jackson's still going to be involved in the offense, and so that's really valuable in the later rounds, especially if they're not choosing to take a running back early. It means they have confidence in him. So that'll say a lot. Where they take a running back in this draft will show us how exactly they value Justin Jackson, and I have a feeling that they like him a lot. The Rams, this came out a little bit ago, but I think another report came out this week that they want to use more than one running back. And like I say, I think I said it a month ago. They wanted to rotate through a few different guys. To me, that means they probably are going to take a running back in the draft, just not early. I don't expect them to take one on day 1. Maybe it's a similar situation to what the Chargers do. But it doesn't mean Henderson can't be a good pick this season. It just means if you're drafting right now, you got to pump the brakes a little bit because they're going to use other running backs. And until we see Henderson perform really well in fantasy, it still hasn't happened yet. So I don't want the hype to get too much like it was last season. Remember, I really liked Henderson last year. Then his ADP got a little bit too high. Then it was pretty apparent in the 3rd or 4th week of the preseason that it was not going to be a massive role for Henderson. So, of course, we took him way down in the rankings, took him off targets, and I don't want that to happen again this year where people just expect him to have the whole role, and then we find out, in week 2, 3, 4 of preseason, that's not the case, and we have to pump the brakes again. So definitely watch all reports that come out of that. Last thing isn't news. It was a comment I saw in the last video, and I've seen in a few videos, is concerns about Kyler Murray because of his offensive line. And my take on that is just that, we look at last season, right? He's the quarterback 8 overall. He's adding 5 points per game rushing. Just a great floor, a great ceiling, although we didn't see the ceiling hit very often. I'm not even sure he went over 30 fantasy points in a game. He may have, depending on your scoring, but I don't think he did more than once, and I don't even think he did once. But we saw that he's capable of it. We saw these games where he has a ton of rushing yards. He's got these rushing touchdowns. I think he had 4 in the season, but we saw a guy who had 500 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns, who's capable of 700 or 800 rushing yards, of 7 or 8 rushing touchdowns. And when you have that sort of upside in the floor, and then you add in that they're very likely to take a lineman in the early first round. I don't remember what their pick is, but it's a top 10 pick. They're going to take an offensive lineman there. They get a massive upgrade in DeAndre Hopkins. It's his 2nd year in the system. I just think he has so much going for him that he's going to improve as long as he stays healthy on the quarterback 8 finish from last season, and I'm willing to take that as the 3rd quarterback. Now, do I take quarterbacks early? Typically not, but if you're someone who does like to do that, Kyler is a guy that I would still be taking. I think I have him ranked 3rd right now. I'm pretty sure it goes Lamar, Mahomes, and then Kyler, but not positive on that. Pretty confident though. So that's all the news. We'll go through last week's poll. So I believe we ended up taking Darren Waller and Latavius Murray in the draft, and then we said, let's compare that to what we could have done, waiting on tight end, and taking Jared Cook and Kareem Hunt. Now, 57% of you said that you prefer Darren Waller and Latavius Murray instead of Jared Cook and Kareem Hunt. This is the first one that I'm surprised with. I was very confident you guys would say Gesicki and Jacobs. over Kelsey and Boston Scott. I thought that the other one was pretty close, but this one I really thought it'd be like 70% of you said Jared Cook and Kareem Hunt, and you guys preferred the other side. I don't know what people's thinking of Darren Waller is in their minds, but remember, Jared Cook outscored Darren Waller from like week 8 on by a pretty significant margin, and that's with playing more games. Remember, Jared Cook had the injury in the middle of the season. I believe it was a concussion. I don't actually remember what it was. He had that injury in the middle of the season, so playing one less game, I think he outscored him by like 20 fantasy points in the second half of the year. So Jared Cook was really good. I know there's concerns about like Drew Brees is old and Jared Cook is old, so obviously there could be a drop-off there. But I don't know. I just think that like Latavius Murray has almost no value unless Alvin Kamara goes down, whereas Kareem Hunt is a flex option for the entirety that Nick Chubb is healthy, and that if Nick Chubb went down, I mean, Kareem Hunt's a top 7 running back. So I really thought the Jared Cook side was better. I'll definitely do it again. I'm probably just going to like add bars below this. So like if you look at quarterback early, quarterback late, that's not the only time we're going to try that. I'll just add a new line. We'll test out different options and see if it's just the player or if like we really do prefer one situation over the other. So we'll do something else in this mock draft. I'm not going to like hold ourselves to having to do one thing, but as things pop up, we'll keep populating these fields. So this mock draft will be from the 4 spot. We've done a lot. We've done all of the odd numbers, and then we've done 10 and like 6 or something like that. I don't remember. I think there's 2 even numbers we've done. But we're doing 4 this time. Same setup as always. Someone asked if I can change the setup a little bit. I don't actually even remember what the suggestion was, but I'll pull up. So I think they said it'd be better if we're displaying, we want to hide the hidden players. If we are doing it kind of like this, we look at the draft board. We can even show a draft board like this. We can pull up cheat sheets. So I don't know. I'll kind of rotate through a few different looks. So we see Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, and Ezekiel Elliott get picked. Yep, that's basically how it's going to go. We are not looking at quarterback, not looking at tight end. So our options are Michael Thomas at wide receiver. That is our only option. Then Dalvin Cook or Alvin Kamara at running back. I mean, you guys kind of know my... does this mean... Okay, so I can do it this way too. You guys know my philosophy typically. We're going to take a running back when we can take a running back in the first round, especially one that is quite good, like Dalvin Cook. If you wanted to go Alvin Kamara there, totally fine with that. Honestly, I guess I would prefer the 5 pick because I don't really see a huge difference between Alvin Kamara and Dalvin Cook. So this is what happens. Michael Thomas goes right after that. Alvin Kamara goes pick after that. Then we've got Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Adams, and Tyreek Hill go in the first round. Then the first round finishes off with Melvin Gordon, Aaron Jones. Then we've got Joe Mixon, Fournette, and then a massive run on wide receivers. We get Julio, Hopkins, Godwin, Evans, Kelsey goes, and then Josh Jacobs. That would have been really nice to get Jacobs there. So for us, we've got this next tier of wide receiver. I believe that first tier ends. Yeah, so it basically ends. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These 7 guys that go is basically that first tier. And then we hit Galladay, Cooper, Odell, Moore. Like this whole tier is just very, very, very similar players, at least as far as like fantasy points go, not talent-wise. But we're pretty much looking at running back at this spot, in my opinion. We're going to get a wide receiver we really like in this next round, and I don't believe we need to go back-to-back wide receivers. So let's look at running back. We have our choice between Eckler and Drake. That's it. That's really all I would consider at this spot. That is a decision that I've kind of been looking at because did I talk about this in the last video? I don't even remember when I talked about this. But we know that Eckler and Drake, assuming that these teams don't like draft a running back high, they don't bring anyone in, are both going to have really nice roles in their offense. Always something I look for. We know that both of them have great pass catching abilities. We know that both of them have great touchdown upside. So like they're both very similar picks. The one concern for me would be how much does Tyrod Taylor throw to his running back? Mobile quarterbacks typically don't throw as much, but then I guess you could argue that with Kyler. It's just that, I mean, we've seen Kyler throw it to Drake. And obviously Kyler is a much better quarterback than Tyrod Taylor is. Also, I heard people, or I read, I guess, in the comment section, they're like, no, I mean, the Chargers are going to be drafting a quarterback. All reports so far are that even if they draft a quarterback, it's not going to be high enough to where Tyrod won't be the starter to really start the season. So we basically, if you're drafting Chargers players, you just got to assume right now that Tyrod Taylor is the quarterback, unless they trade up and take someone early. Because every report currently seems to indicate that, yeah, they'll probably draft a quarterback, just not for like this season. It'd be for someone next year. And if there's a redraft league, like you're only looking at this year. So, given everything I've just said, I think I would... I don't want to pull up my rankings, obviously. If this is my draft, and I'm sitting here in April, I'm probably taking... I'm probably taking Drake, to be honest. We'll take Drake. I don't know. Maybe that's what I'll do after this video, is try and figure out who I would take there. Eckler goes to pick after. But yeah, that's just such a difficult decision. They're such similar picks. So after us, Eckler goes, Lamar goes, and then Odell, Allen Robinson, DJ Moore, and Kenny Galladay. So like we thought, wide receivers are still on the board. If we wanted to take a running back, Miles Sanders, Chris Carson, Singletary, and Mack would be our picks. You guys know I absolutely love Mack. Really hope he's there in the 4th round, although we have a late 4th round pick, so it's kind of unlikely. But hopefully one of those guys is still available. Kind of a drop off after that. At wide receiver, I'm taking Amari Cooper with this pick more than likely, but I really like Cooper, really like AJ Brown, Thielen, Calvin Ridley. Those are probably the guys you'd consider here, but I mean the pick is Amari Cooper at this spot, so we'll take him, and just hope that one of these running backs is available. Oh, wow! And actually, AJ Brown goes right before it looks like. Calvin Ridley went right before. So it does look like Marlon Mack will still be on the board. So the running backs that go after this, if you're listening to the audio. No, also, yeah, you guys can listen to the audio on iTunes and Spotify. Not that anyone can go to the gym right now, but usually, I don't use the YouTube app on my phone at the gym because it's just not a good app, in my opinion. But you can just download like the Spotify and iTunes, and they use a lot less data because you can just download it at your house and then listen to it without using the data. But yeah, all these just go up unless I forget. But anyways, if you're listening to the audio, we've got Sanders goes, then Gurley, Mark Ingram, Bell, and Carson. Mahomes is the only quarterback that gets taken. Kittle and Mark Andrews get taken in the 3rd round. And then a boatload of wide receivers go. Would have been interesting if we'd had A.J. Brown at this pick to start off with Cook, Drake, and then Cooper, Brown. That'd have been really nice. But it does look like we got lucky, and we actually get our choice between Singletary and Mack. For me right now, it's Mack, just because we don't know 100% what Buffalo is going to do as far as running backs. I do think they're going to draft one. It's just, do they draft, like, who do they draft? What type of running back do they draft? When do they draft them? So a little bit more unknown. For the Colts, I think it's highly unlikely they draft a running back early. I would be genuinely shocked if they did that. So for me, the pick is Mack. And I think I've taken him in every single mock draft so far. It just makes no sense. Like, his ADP should be in the 3rd round. I don't like he should be higher than he was last season. I don't remember where he ended up last year. But wherever his ADP was, it should be like half a round higher because his situation just got a whole lot better. And yet it seems like he's dropped around. So I don't get it. But hey, I'm not complaining. We we can see it was pretty short who went after this. So Singletary does go. Kerry Johnson goes. Jonathan Taylor goes. I probably would have considered him at that next pick. But again, there's risk, and I don't really want to talk about rookies right now just because all of their value is going to change. AJ Green goes, Stephon Diggs goes, and Zach Ertz gets taken. So we'll scroll down. I mean, what did they hide tight ends at the bottom, or did I just go past it? No, yeah, I just went past it. So if we wanted a tight end, we can do Darren Waller again like last video. We go Hunter Henry, but no, I'm not going to do that with Phillip Rivers gone. Evan Ingram, not pumped about that. Austin Hooper, no. Higbee, no. For me, we're waiting. Haven't tried anything new yet. Have we done quarterback middle? We've not done quarterback middle. I swear we did. Maybe we took one. We just didn't do a poll on it. Because I think I took Matt Ryan. Oh, Matt Ryan probably wouldn't be middle. Okay, let's consider doing quarterback middle at this pick. Wide receivers, I probably wouldn't take one here just because, like, obviously Parker stands out, and like T.Y. Hilton stands out. But I would love DK Metcalf this year. DJ Chark, Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, Will Fuller. Then a bit of a drop off. But if I can get one of those guys, I'd be very happy with that. And it's pretty likely I will get one of them with the next pick. So we look at running back and we see Damian Williams. I've heard very slight rumblings that the Chiefs could take a running back relatively early, hoping that doesn't happen because I like Damian Williams. But I've heard it being possible. Not a Connor guy right now. Not big on David Johnson. Yeah, no one really stands out. And if we look at our team, I mean, we've got Dalvin Cook, Drake, and Marlon Mack. So although I like getting 4 running backs, we don't need one. So let's try it out. Let's see how the team looks. Pretty nice that I guess I talked about Kyler Murray on why I like him to start off the video, and then we end up taking him in the mock draft. Would I prefer him in more like the 6th round? Yeah. And would I have done that in my normal draft? Probably not. Dang. Some of those wide receivers went. So, yeah. Are a lot of wide receivers going in this video? I swear there's a lot going. But Woods, Parker, Lockett, Chark, Metcalf, Hilton, and Edelman get taken. For tight ends, Waller and Henry go. Quarterbacks, we see a small run on quarterback with Wilson, Dak Prescott, and Deshaun Watson going. That's pretty nice value on Deshaun Watson. I feel like that's good value on him. And then Damian Williams, David Johnson, James Conner, and Phil Lindsay get taken at running back. So we can lock up that 4th running back with what would likely be Kareem Hunt, unless we wanted to try the upside of Darius Geis. That's basically our options. Wide receiver, I mean, Terry McLaurin, that's our pick here. I know I take him in a ton of mock drafts, but y'all be sleeping on McLaurin. Like, he was so good last year. Give him another year. I know the quarterback situation's garbage, but I like him. And I saw people also commented, like, yeah, but Kyle Allen's going to be the quarterback. Yeah, but, I mean, do you guys remember what he was going through last year with his quarterbacks? I mean, it's not going to get worse. I know Kyle Allen's not good, but there's just no way that the quarterback situation is going to be worse than last season. They could draft a quarterback. I mean, that's not going to happen, right? They're not going to have Dwayne Haskins and Kyle Allen and draft a quarterback. So Haskins could still win that job, but I don't know. I'm not too concerned about the quarterback play because quarterback play was garbage last season and he still balled out. So, and he's the only guy. Who else are they going to throw to? I know they got Sims, who I really liked last season. He was a great waiver ad. Won me a lot of money on DraftKings, but I don't know. His target share is going to be absolutely massive, and that's what I want. I want guys with massive target share. If we do look at our wide receivers, though, having Cooper and McLaurin is nice, but we need more. So who are guys that have some upside at wide receiver we can consider? Boyd, I'm not pumped about that if AJ Green's going to be back. Definitely Marquise Brown. John Brown, no, the volume just won't be there. Mike Williams, quarterback downgrade. Not pumped about Marvin Jones. Not really pumped about any of these options right now at this pick. Obviously, you guys know I like a few guys later. But that means I would take Marquise Brown here. Didn't look at running back. I could have taken Kareem Hunt with that pick. I just think my running backs are solid enough that I kind of need a little bit more depth at wide receiver. So let's look at the team. Should we pull up the side view here? Our roster right now: Kyler Murray, Dalvin Cook, Kenyon Drake. Love those two running back combinations. Amari Cooper, Terry McLaurin, Marlon Mack, and Marquise Brown. I really like this team so far. This away. We can look at tight end again. But like I said, I'm not pumped about the difference between Evan Ingram, Higbee, and Jared Cook, and these later guys like Fant, Goddard, Gesicki, Hawkinson, Jonnu Smith, even Ian Thomas, like Irv Smith potentially if we went really late. But like those guys are so close that I honestly prefer just waiting. If we already took quarterback, that means we're looking at wide receiver and running back. Sony Michel's an option. We don't know exactly how the Patriots are going to run their offense post Tom Brady, but we know that they don't want to drop back, a million times. And if Sony Michel is going to be the guy again, that's not a bad pick. We can start upside chasing with Latavius, with Tony Pollard, but realistically, Sony is the only guy left in the draft right now that has a very large role in the offense. We need to be careful that Harris, in his second season, could take over more of that role because he was, a healthy scratch most weeks. But I haven't heard anything. I literally have not heard anything about the situation, and it's going to be tough because we're probably not going to have very much of an off season. Are beat reporters even going to be allowed into facilities? Probably not. So if we don't get any beat reports about these situations, we might not know going into the season the split between Sony Michel and Damian Harris. We might not have any idea. As of right now, I feel like I'd probably take Sony. I don't know where he is in his rookie contract, but maybe there's a chance that they're just let's just give this guy a bunch of work. They're not going to sign him to a new contract, so give him a bunch of work. If he breaks down, he breaks down. But they got their Super Bowl with him, and maybe they can ease the load off of what's likely going to be Jared Stidham at quarterback, which is frightening, but it is what it is. So, Dalvin Cook, Kenyon Drake, Marlon Mack, Sony Michel. I would like another running back. I don't feel confident in the Sony Michel pick, and so if I can take two guys that I feel okay, at least about, that'd be better. The computer took Devonta Freeman, but I don't know that he's going anywhere of value. Let's see. I just want to see where I wish there'd be. Okay, so like Clyde. I really like Clyde this season. I've thought that there's a chance he goes earlier than a lot of people think, and there's a chance he goes to a team like the Bucs. I've seen people suggest that the Chiefs could actually take him with the 32nd pick. That would shock me. But Clyde's good. Clyde's really good. And so there's no way in the world he's actually going to be going behind McKinnon, Travis Homer, and Quandre Ollison. But that's where he is right now. It's why I don't like bringing up rookies into these, because the simulators don't have them high yet. But what round are we even in? We're in the 9th round. The pick here is probably still to take Latavius. And then next round, if you were playing this out trying to get the most value, you'd go Latavius. You'd probably go Deontay Johnson, and then you'd go Clyde. Realistically, I know Clyde's going to go earlier than that, and so I want to make this realistic. So who would I prefer between Latavius and Clyde? Not knowing landing spot at this point. Probably Latavius. I still think Latavius would carry more upside. But if Clyde went to the Bucks, if Clyde goes to the Bucks, then I would still rather have him. It's just that the Bucks have, like a little bit later than mid, actually, first round pick, which means he would have to go in the second round, which would still be fine from that point of view. Sorry, I'm just thinking through exactly how I would do this. I think it would be Latavius. So we'll do Latavius. Hopefully Deontay Johnson's there. I don't know, is this the one where... No, he's not there. I didn't know if this was the one where I only had a few picks. So Deontay goes. We should probably take another wide receiver here. We'll pull up this view. Our wide receivers are Cooper, McLaurin, Marquise Brown. That's it. So we need a wide receiver with this one. Running backs, yeah, Cook, Drake, Mack, Michelle, Murray. We're good at running back for now. So let's look at wide receiver. We'll look at tight end actually first. So where'd tight end go? Still Evan Ingram on the board. So that's interesting. So Evan Ingram's got his injury concerns, but it's the late 10th round, and I understand that there is a drop-off, like not a massive drop-off between him, Cook, Fant, Goddard, Gesicki. There still is one. So he's not hurt right now, right? I mean, I don't think so. I don't think Evan Ingram's hurt at all. So let's do that. Let's take Evan Ingram. I think that's a good value. The late 10th round for Evan Ingram, even if he's going to get injured, that's too late to have him on the board. Okay. So we do need a wide receiver with this pick. So we've got Sammy on the board. Perriman in New York. We've got John Ross. Hunter Renfro's an option. Yikes. Say yikes. Oh, no. We're not drafting Danny Amendola. Don't get too excited. Are there any... Okay. Yeah, like CeeDee Lamb is still on the board. Ruggs, Jefferson, depends on where he goes. Laviska Shenault, Mims. So realistically... I mean, I would take, I don't even know where it scrolled through. I guess I will do it. I'll just show you guys, like, obviously, well, actually, that's an interesting one between Jerry Jeudy and Lamb. That's going to 100% depend on who goes first, although it probably won't matter who goes first between the two because they're probably going to go pretty close to each other. But if one drops, which one won't? But who goes to the team that is willing to feature that player more? I think they're both going to be exceptional wide receivers. I think they can both contribute in year one to be fantasy relevant in year one. It's just going to depend. Like, I've seen mock drafts where Jerry Jeudy goes quite early. Now, I don't think either of them are the first wide receiver off the board, but I think they would be the first wide receiver off the board in fantasy for rookies. I think that it's basically between those two, and I've seen a case made for both of them. I think right now I do have... I actually don't even know. I don't even remember now. Yeah, I don't remember who I have first. But regardless, if you're in the 11th round of a draft right now, you should be taking, one of these guys. Lamb, Jeudy, Rager are like the three that would be up there. I'll take Lamb with this pick. Because I would take Lamb with that pick. I thought Marquise Brown just got drafted, and I was quite confused because wait, don't I have Marquise Brown? So we'll take him. I don't want to take all the rookies. This is cheating, but it's what I would do. I would take Clyde with this next pick as well for that upside. Maybe I will. I don't know. But there's the team on the right. Go back to cheat sheets. We probably need... Do we need another running back overall? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we should probably have 6 running backs. We have 1, 2, yeah, we'll take a running back and a wide receiver with the next 2 picks, and then we'll close it out with defense. So wide receivers, our options are we take another one of the rookies, or we take probably just John Ross. I saw someone say Tyrell Williams they really like. I have a feeling that the Raiders are going to draft another wide receiver. I don't think they're going to go into the season like last year with just Tyrell and Hunter Renfrow on the inside. I think they're going to get someone on the outside. If they do that, there's just no way Tyrell Williams is going to be relevant in drafts. We can definitely take Edmonds. You guys know I don't love handcuffs unless it's like Zeke and Drake. I mean, I don't even, off the top of my head, I don't even know another one that I would do. But like I would handcuff, not reach for it, but if we're sitting here and we need a running back, I would handcuff Kenyon Drake with Chase Edmonds, because as of right now, their third running back's not that great. They've said they want to have 3 they trust, and does that mean they draft one? I don't know. But with the amount of draft cap, or the amount of, capital, actual capital that they spent keeping Kenyon Drake, he's going to be the guy. But if he goes down, they're more than willing to just give Chase Edmonds that role. And that means he is a direct backup, which is not something we see often. A lot of times we will see people draft handcuffs, but they're not the actual handcuff. They're not going to get the exact same work, and so it's not worth drafting them. But you guys have heard that a million times. So Clyde still goes on the board, whatever. Jerry Jeudy goes the pick before me. We need a wide receiver, right? Where's our team? Wide receivers are Cooper, McLaurin, CeeDee Lamb, and Marquise Brown. We do need another one, and we want upside here. So John Ross, absolutely upside. I've seen that Burrow might not go 1, like he doesn't want to go to Cincy. Listen, I've seen a bajillion reports. In my eyes, Joe Burrow's going number 1 to the Bengals, unless there is incredible value that a team is willing to offer the Bengals. I do not see them trading that pick. Other than that, as we scroll through, you could take a shot on N'Keal Harry. Maybe he develops a little bit better in his second season. Had some injuries last season, but quarterback situation won't be that great, so not pumped about that. Hunter Renfrow is really the only guy I see right here. Scroll. Basically, you could take Ruggs. T. Higgins, I've heard, could go a little bit early, but I really would just prefer not to be taking those guys. So we'll take, I think Ross would be the play, because if you assume that Burrow's going there, you got to assume they're going to try and use Ross like they did last season, and even if they add in AJ Green, almost said AJ Brown. If they add in AJ Green, it's still like he's going to see so much single coverage, so many times where a safety is just not able to help over the top, and that means he's got a lot of upside. Better in best ball, but it means he's got a lot of upside. Do we have to take our... Yeah. We are at the end. So we'll just take our defense. Where are the defenses? There we go. We'll take the Chiefs. Still haven't done any research into defenses. Do we get an A- every week? So, we'll look at what we could have done in a second after we go over the team. We get Kyler Murray at quarterback, then Dalvin Cook, Kenyon Drake, Amari Cooper, Terry McLaurin, Evan Ingram, Marlon Mack, and the Chiefs. I actually really like... I know I say I like my team every time, but I really like that starting lineup. The bench, we've got Marquise Brown, Sony Michel, Latavius Murray, CeeDee Lamb, Chase Edmonds, and John Ross. So we took Kyler Murray in the... I thought that was going to go away for a second. We took him in the 5th round. So we took Kyler. It was going this way as well. At that point, we had 3 running backs. We were very likely to take a wide receiver. I would have been down to DK Metcalf or DJ Chark or T.Y. Hilton. I am starting to warm up a lot more to Metcalf. I think he is... we all know he's an exceptional talent. I think that pairing him with one of the best quarterbacks in the league, who's extremely mobile, who is exceptional at deep balls, honestly, I think I would take Metcalf. So Metcalf, we took a wide receiver in, well, that's not fair doing him. We'll do the John Ross pick. It's not fair comparing it to Lamb because I feel like that one would be obvious. So we'll say 13th round quarterback. Our 13th round quarterback, did no quarterbacks go after? So who was on the board? Can we see? Hopefully this doesn't go away. Okay. So this is the draft board. Cool. If we waited until the 13th round, we'd be at Daniel Jones. That would be our pick. Unless like Newton goes somewhere. But as of right now, you can't draft a quarterback that's not on a team. And I think Newton's going to wait until after the draft to go somewhere. Same with probably Winston. Could do Tyrod if you want to open the season with a mobile quarterback. But it would be Daniel Jones. He's got that rushing ability. Hopefully Evan Ingram remains healthy and he can have a decent supporting cast. Not bad. I mean, having Slayton, Shepard, Ingram, and Barkley, like that's a really good cast. And Deion Lewis, my boy. So Daniel Jones. So that's our option. Would you rather have DK Metcalf and Daniel Jones or Kyler Murray and John Ross? I mean, I kind of have a take on that one. But that's the option. I'll make sure to put the poll out pretty much right after this video comes out. Follow me on Twitter. You'll get the poll every single week. That's it. How do you guys like the team? Let me know in the comment section below. That's the end of this one. Hope you all did enjoy. If you did, how about you hit that like button? How about you subscribe to the channel if you're new here? Thanks for watching.